One sentence summary. 30 odd years after Bill and Ted are told their destiny, they still haven't fulfilled it. Could you beat the villain? It's more of a situation than a villain. So for 30 odd years, Bill and Ted have been trying to write a song that will unite the world, which is an impossible task, it turns out. And they're struggling with it. Not me, though. So I'm told that the reality is going to fall apart unless I can unite the world through song. All right, cool. A couple of minutes, I'll be like, well, this seems like it'll be difficult. But then I realise there are already songs that exist that can unite the world. So if you're walking down the street, or you're at a party, or you're at a wedding, or whatever, and Angels by Robbie Williams comes on, Sweet Caroline, Neil Diamond, or S Club Party by S Club comes on, you can start singing one of those, point at any random person, and they will sing the rest of the song for you. Or they will look at you like you're crazy. But I think majority of people would. So yeah, that's no problem at all. We're like, oh no, reality's gonna win. We gotta save the world, reunite through song. All right, get me a Robbie Williams CD. Bosh, done. Let's all go out for lunch now because we've done this. No pressure. How would you improve this film? My knowledge of the Bill and Ted lore is limited. I've seen the previous films, but it was a long time ago. So, and there's a bit of narration at the beginning of Bill and Ted's daughters who don't really contribute anything to the film, but whatever. But it's just them talk, and then the film carries on. What I would have done instead would have been a Where Are They Now TV style show that details that Bill and Ted were rock stars in the late 80s and the 90s who came from humble beginnings in the town of San Dimas. But as they got more famous, people started learning about their crazy stories about time travel and the afterlife and all that sort of stuff. And then the band broke up, including a guy who never broke character playing Death, because Death was actually in the band. And then the duo have been living in relative obscurity, but they've got new songs coming. I promise you, for the last 20 odd years or whatever. That would have been a better way to reintroduce the world and let everyone know this is what's going on. Other than there was a bit of them saying, "Oh yeah, our dads were really good, but then their band broke up and now they're sad." Anyways, it's odd to me that Bill and Ted have not evolved at all since the last film. They still act like they are teenagers, even though they are in their 50s or whatever now. And it's weird that apparently no one's called them out on their bullshit in the entire time, between the films. Bill and Ted's daughter, who I mentioned, they're basically carbon copies of their dad, and they basically go on a very similar adventure to the first Bill and Ted film. So it didn't really need to be there. After a less than excellent gig, I can't do the sound effect. Ted tells Bill that he's going to consider selling he's selling a guitar or considering selling a guitar. And that's kind of the end of the band, basically. And if you would set up previously that Bill and Ted are broke, that might go to some way to explain why they're going to sell the guitars. Time travel is difficult to pull off. See my review of Tenet, where it was the worst part of the film, in my opinion, but there you go. But how can people in the future be monitoring an event that happens in 2020 and then they're all like, oh no, we don't know if this is how you do it or this is not how you do it? And if it didn't happen, like Bill and Ted didn't unite the world in 2020, the people in the future wouldn't be there to monitor it anyway, surely. So what's the drama? A better plot, in my opinion, for the film would be to reunite Bill and Ted, who had broke up when their band went separate ways 20 odd years previously. In this one, there's very little drama as they kind of time travel around and see kind of future versions of themselves. And they're, fun. I liked the Bill and Ted in prison who were mini Hulks. I'm impressed that they were able to put on that much muscle mass at that age. But yeah, there's very little drama as they just kind of jump around looking for this song that's going to unite the world. And for most of it, they don't even seem to know that there's a killer robot after them anyway. So, no pressure. Speaking of the killer robot sent from the future to kill Bill and Ted, the great leader thinks that perhaps it's not Bill and Ted's music that unites the world, it's their death. Again, if you're in the future and this is such an important historical event, how the fuck do you not know how it went down? Anyways, so they send this robot to go and kill him, and the robot is called Dennis, and that is the same name as Kelly, who is also from the future, same as her ex-boyfriend. And the robot, he's an odd one. So he has emotions, and he feels so much guilt that he kills himself at one point. Strange. And then he goes to hell, which seems to surprise everyone. So here is my dark theory. Dennis is not a robot named after the ex-boyfriend. He is the ex-boyfriend. It's like a RoboCop situation where that guy's brain and presumably soul, if he went to hell, are inside that robot, and it doesn't seem like he is aware, and it doesn't seem like Kelly is aware either. So what's going on here? Creepy. Anyways, Billy and Ted are in the future via time travel, and they're told that their song must be performed by 7:17 that day, otherwise reality is going to fall apart. There's drama. And they're given her like a stopwatch to keep track of it. Alright, why bother though? Because if you've got a time machine, you could spend like a year in the future working on your song, then go back to before you even left the past. Bill and Ted, they instantly know that Kelly is the daughter of Rufus from the first film, without being told, which is weird. Day to night, even. Very, very quickly in the future, so that's strange. Also, the future is basically an empty CGI landscape with a few buildings. Weird. And there's a moment where two big old walls of instruments zoom towards Bill and Ted, and it was a wasted up because it looks a bit like the guns in the Matrix, is what I'm saying. There was a wasted opportunity not to say, oh, what do you need? Instruments. Lots of instruments. But there you go. Keanu Reeves shouldn't be made to run in films anymore. In the John Wick films, he's kind of hobbling along because he's out of practice and he's been hit by a car and all that sort of stuff. And you think, yeah, fair enough. But actually, seeing Keanu Reeves run in this one, where, you know, he's not an assassin who's been beat up, turns out that's just how Keanu Reeves runs. So stop making him run. He obviously doesn't like it. How does Ted's dad not believe that Bill and Ted's story is about time travel and death and all that sort of stuff, when their wives are quite open about the fact that they are from the 14th century? So either he has not spoken to the wives in this entire time, or he just thinks they're mental. Either way. Bill and Ted go to couples therapy with their wives, so it's like 4 people, and the wives are not so happy. The couples counsellor not so happy either, and they say, "We love you," because Bill and Ted have basically got one brain between them. And at the end of the film, they're able to say, "I love you," as individuals, and that's strange because there's no change to the characters that would lead to that development of individuality. But you know, whatever. Why don't the people in the future have a universal translator? This is the second time that Prestons and Logans have gone into the past to collect historical figures and suffered with a language barrier. I don't know who Kid Cudi is. I'm sure he's a famous, you know, with the young people and stuff. And the guy playing Louis Armstrong, I think he needed to tone it down a bit because it felt like he was playing Louis Armstrong when Louis Armstrong is on stage, but like all the time. And I'm sure that he was a bit more mellow than that in real life, perhaps, maybe. There you go. I'm not going to tell you where I am, Mother. You did just mention you're in San Dimas, so you've already told her where you are. And why did a police truck, when it was shot by the killer robot, go to hell? And then later, everyone's like, oh my God, what's this robot doing here? So does everything that gets shot go to hell, even the police truck? Or was it like a chitty chitty bang bang type situation where the vehicle was alive? I don't know. The whole plot about Bill and Ted's wives leaving them doesn't go anywhere. They just decide, actually, we're not going to leave them. So, you know, whatever. Yeah, that's enough. Rating out 5 beers. I can't tell if Keanu Reeves is a good actor or a bad actor. So the main Ted is like wooden in this, but there's alternative Teds from different timelines and futures and all that stuff. who had some character to them and had a bit of joie de vivre. So, like, if they're being played by the same guy, why is the main version of him talking like he's made of cardboard, and the other ones have got some emotions? There's a bit where Ted's dad apologizes to him for not believing his crazy bullshit stories, and Bill says, "Oh, thank you," and the dad just kind of looks at him and he's like, "I'm not talking to you," and that was the biggest laugh I had in the film. It was quite funny, but the rest of it was also just not that funny, sadly. And I didn't dislike this at all, but as soon as I left the cinema, I kind of forgot about it, which is not really a good sign. Yeah, so 4 out of 5 beers.